Alrighty, ladies, it's 9:30. We're going to go ahead and get started. Before we begin, I know Mr. Rodriguez had posted on the chat. If you haven't registered for our conference yet, please do so. The link is on the chat in itself. The check-in code is Tech24. And so once you're there, you're going to see that little check-in box pop up on your PD system. And then you'll just type in Tech24 and it'll register you. That'll make you have the opportunity to win different door prizes that they have going on throughout the day. So good luck to that. Make sure you register and let's get started. So my session is going to be on exploring a website called School AI. It's really, really neat. And we'll go through slowly and I'll show you 3 sections of that today. My name is Jeanette Mihadis and I am a teacher at Berta Palacios Elementary. This will be my 10th year teaching. I've been a CIT for about 9 of those years. And this year I actually get to be a science lab teacher. So I'm excited about that. It's very new to me, but hopefully everything goes great. So let's get started. So School AI is basically a website that allows you to be able to provide different lessons and interactions with your students, somewhat like ChatGPT, but in a more restricted way, which I think is really, really neat. As we go through, I'm going to show you some of the resources that they have available. This is available in English and in Spanish. So if you are a bilingual teacher, you have the opportunity to use that. Even if you have littles, if you have kinder or first graders, you'll see that they have a lot of different differentiation opportunities where your students can actually interact with the program without actually having to type anything or go into like a further thing. So don't get discouraged. I have all of that in mind. What I'm going to do first is I made this PowerPoint presentation. I will go through the PowerPoint presentation just so that you know exactly what's going on and what we're going to see. And then we will actually utilize the website and it's going to be more interactive. So I'll send you the link. That way you can see how it's going to be seen on your student's end. So the first thing you will do is you will go into School AI. And now School AI, like I mentioned, it's going to be this little website. Once you log into it, you will see that this pops up. You will use your district credentials to be able to log in. Then from there, we are going to focus on 3 things. The first thing we're going to go over is what they call Sidekick. So this one's really neat. It's basically the students texting with their friends. That's kind of what it's going to look like. But it's more research based. And so what you're able to do is you're able to, if you notice here on this section right here, it has different standards available. It asks you what grade level you're in, what state you're from, and give you options on the different standards that you're able to utilize. So I think that's pretty great. Then this Sidekick in itself will engage with your students. They do have a text-to-speech option and a speech-to-text. So then the students will be able to play around with it and interact and get more responses from that. And so the way it'll begin is by you assigning a topic. And so, for example, if you're going through life cycles or if you want your students to work out maybe adding at a very young age, those are all different settings that you will be able to adjust on your end. And so step 1 will be to fill all these sections out. And right now, once we go into the website, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. I just made this PowerPoint presentation just in case you go back and you want to utilize it. You kind of get a refresher from the start of how to go through it. So you have the opportunity to describe your classroom. So if you have bilingual students, you're able to put that on there. If you have students that maybe are in special ed or have a different IEP, you're able to include that as your class description. This will allow Sidekick to be able to differentiate how it's speaking to the students. And then we also have how you want them to interact with them. If you want them to be funny, if you want them to be encouraging, so on and so forth. Those will be different things that you're able to set for the Sidekick. And then you're also able to set rules. So for example, if you say, do not answer any questions that are not related to the topic, because sometimes students can ask silly questions, maybe like, what's Superman's favorite color? And Sidekick might be able to answer that. As compared to if you set that as a restriction, it will not. So I think that's really, really neat. Anything that's inappropriate or that's out of context, then it will not respond, which is why I like it so much, because it won't allow students to venture too far off. Once you are able to fill this out, you are going to launch that space and you're able to share it either on Google Classroom, or let's just say we have to go virtual again for whatever reason, and you are working off of Teams or anything like that, you're able to use a live code, and that's what we will be using today when we go through it. So this is basically what the website looks like when the students are interacting with it. You will see that it gives them an option to speak. To listen, where to speak, it's basically the robot speaking to them. So it's basically reading everything it generated. And the students have the option to reply to their sidekick. They can, if the students do not need the speech to text, then they will just type out their responses. And if not, then they can utilize that speech to text option. Before you do that, though, you do have to make sure you go into the settings and they select the language in which they are learning. So for example, if I have all Spanish students, then I will select Spanish as compared to if I'm only in an English class, and I will select the English. That way it's able to pick up on your speaker. If not, it won't type out what you're saying. So this is kind of the way it works. Like I said, it's kind of like they're texting their friend. And so you'll see it basically in chat form. The only thing that I did notice, it will not show up. The picture won't show up. I don't know if it's just my computer or if it's everybody else's, but if they do want a picture, it does provide it for them. I'm hoping that on their Chromebooks or their iPads, it will. Mine had my computer had a lot of restrictions, so I don't know. It could have been that where it restricted it and it's blocking something and it won't show it, but it does have the option for Sidekick to provide that stuff for them. And so then from there, you are able to go back. And so it's really neat because you will see the sessions that you have provided, and then you will see how your students interacted with Sidekick. It will tell you if they were on task, if they were participating, if they understood the concept, which I think is really, really neat. And you're able to see basically a script of everything they wrote from the start of the conversation to the very end. And so those are, as a teacher, I think that's fantastic because you're able to see, especially if you already know you have some of those kids that get distracted very easily and you need them to kind of go back, then you have that available for them. Another thing that we will do, and this one's pretty neat, they also have a video explorer option. And so basically what you do is you grab a video from YouTube. I do suggest that you keep it shorter. Don't make it more than 3-4 minutes. You will include that link on there, so you will get the link from YouTube. You put it into that video explorer, and then the actual website will have 2 stopping points for them, and it will ask them questions based on the content of the video. And so like today we'll practice on one based on density, and it's the density of a bowling ball. And so once you go in, you'll see how it does the same thing as it did with the Sidekick. It's kind of a chat form, and it will ask them questions, and the students have to interact with them. So that's really, really neat. So like I mentioned, you will select the URL, you'll paste it on there, you'll click launch, and then you'll share it the same way that you did with Sidekick, either through a code or through Google Classroom. From there, you will see that the video pops up on this side, and you are able to enlarge it. That way the students can see it. And then this is where their script will begin. Again, you do have that speak option where they can listen to what their AI buddy is saying, and they're able to respond. And make sure, like I said, you change the settings to English or Spanish, depending on the grade, on the language that they're learning in order for them to be able to receive that help. And then from there, you're also able to go back. You're able to see the session that you created with the link, and you're able to see every student's response independently. So it won't merge them together. It'll be each student. You're able to click on the student, and it will give you, this is kind of what it'll do. So it'll give you the interactive investigator. So it'll tell you how the student did when they were participating, if they got off task or if they were actually on task, if they actually learned what they were supposed to, if they fairly grasped the subject, so which is really neat. You get to see the script, so you get to see everything that the student spoke to with AI. If you see anything that, especially if you have older kids and you saw there was something inappropriate or anything like that, you will have a record of that. So that's pretty neat. And like I said, you will see your students pop up. So all of your students will pop up. In just a second when we do it, you'll see how your names will pop up on this side. And then last but not least, you also have tools. If you've ever used Magic School, you have different, again, it's AI. So it's able to generate IEPs, all kinds of stuff. So it'll kind of look like this. You have lesson plan templates that it can provide for you, rubrics, multiple choice quizzes, story word problems. So if you're a math teacher, that one's really neat. I played around with it and I thought it was really cool because it provides the standards for you. You're able to select it and kind of dense it out. And then it'll give you different options of how to go through it. I think it'll give you 4 options per generation. So if you keep generating, it will give you more options and it'll save all of them for you, which is really, really neat. If you have class newsletters, you're also able to include that on there. Like I said, IEPs, IEP goals, all that kind of stuff, it's able to generate for you here. So this is more of a resource for you. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to go in and I'm going to send you the link to the actual website. And so this is the link. And if you can please, hold on, did I do? Log in. Like I mentioned, you will use your PSJA credentials. You'll go to sign in. And then it'll ask you for your Google information. As of right now, do you all have any questions or any ideas of how you might be able to use this? Don't be scared to share. The more interactive, the better. I know it's just 3 of us, 4 of us, but it's still great. Sorry, my computer's a little slow. So like I said, it will ask you how you would like to log in. You will just click Google because we have Google accounts and it will log you in automatically. Sorry, it doesn't usually take this long, but okay. So like I said, we're going to start with Sidekick. Remember, Sidekick is the one where you tailor it and you give it explicit instructions of how you want it to be addressed. So we're going to click on Sidekick. The moment that we logged in, this is going to be the first page we see. Do you see that? So from there, we're going to select Sidekick and we're going to open it up. And we are going to start by including all the information that it's asking us. So what do you want your Sidekick to do with your students? So here is where you will put whatever topic you are focusing on. So let's say that we are focusing on life cycles. So then we will, maybe you want to make it more specific. The life cycle of a butterfly. You will go to more options. This is where you will basically make it more specific to what you are looking for your students to do. So class description, I'm going to pretend that I am going to be teaching a 2nd grade bilingual class. Bilingual means my students may be able to speak to them in English or they may be able to speak to them in Spanish, and it will kind of have the opportunity to go back and forth on that. And then how would you like for a sidekick to interact with them? Well, I want him to be encouraging and provide positive feedback while also encouraging and students to ask questions, inquire, and so on and so forth, whatever else you would like for your sidekick to provide for your students. If you want them to be funny or, I don't know, if you have kids that are very sarcastic and they understand that, you're able to do that. I just think it's really neat how you're able to provide all these different differentiation throughout your students and what you know. You can also do it too, for example, if you have maybe a group of students, let's say you teach 4th grade, a group of your students are in grade level, but maybe you have 2 other groups, maybe one's at a 2nd grade level and one's at a kinder level. You're able to make 3 different sessions and you're able to kind of categorize the class description so that the way they interact with the program is actually at a lower level. So the students are actually able to engage, because if not, the vocabulary might be too high, or the wording in itself is something that they might not be able to understand. I'm sorry if I look at you on this side. I have a different screen on my right, so that's why you see me turning over. And then what rules do you want to set for this session? Well, I don't allow yes or no responses. And maybe it won't necessarily tell them do it again. It will just kind of tell them to be more detailed about it, or can you explain a little bit more on that, or what else do you know about it, which is great. And don't answer questions out of topic. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click launch. And when this launches, this is where you're going to see the screen where it tells you if you want to share through Google Classroom or if you want to share through a live link. Because I am connected with you all here and it's easier for you to do the link, I'm going to send you the link. But if it's something that you have beforehand and it's maybe something in your lesson that you're going to do tomorrow, you're more than welcome to add it to your Google Classroom. It's just however you prefer and however you structure your classes. So I'm going to copy this over and I'm going to send it to you so that you can engage in it as well. And then I will be able to see it on my end once you start submitting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste the same link on my end. I'm going to pretend that I'm also a student. That way you can kind of follow along with me. So I suggest you have both windows open, one next to each other, to kind of see how I'm doing it, or if you have any questions, you can see it on my end. So I'm going to put my name. You will put your name. Your students will put their name. If you want them, or you want them to have more fun with it, and you're allowing nicknames, you're more than welcome to do that. And then we will go to join. And so now, Sidekick will always be the first one to initiate the conversation, which is great. This is what I'm talking about. Before the kids even get started, have them go to their settings and select the language in which they want them to be able to interact with Sidekick. So in this case, I'm going to pretend that I'm a Spanish student. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on Spanish. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to be able to do the speech to text. So what essentially we'll do, I will click on speak, and then I'm going to tell him to repeat that in Spanish. And so he will be able to switch that. ¿Lo podrías decir de nuevo en español? I'm sorry, I may have spoken a little too fast. ¿Lo podrías decir de nuevo en español? Hold on, it's not working on my end. Okay, let me click on speak to see if it'll kind of let it kick in.
Hello! Today, we're going to explore the fascinating life cycle of a butterfly. Let's dive in and discover how these beautiful creatures undergo amazing transformations. What would you like to learn first about the butterfly's life cycle?
So like I mentioned, you're able to see what the students are, you're able to listen to what they're speaking. So maybe you have a student that's in third grade, they have great, can't read very well. This is great for them to be able to use. And then this is where you will select your recording. Let me see. ¿Lo podrías repetir en español? Sorry, guys, it always kind of makes us look bad when let me see if I change it into English, if it'll go through. Can you repeat it in Spanish? Maybe on your end it'll work. So if you're on it and you're able to see it, maybe you're able to work. I don't know if it's blocking it on my end. I promise you it works. I tried it yesterday and made sure that everything worked. But you are able to do it. But I can type it out. You put question mark and then it'll do it again. And this time it'll do it in Spanish. So then, why is it making me look bad today? Oh, I know why, because I have it set to English. I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm sorry, I'm giving you false information.
Jeanette,
Yes, ma'am.
I did try it. I tried it on my side. You know, I asked her, can you please repeat it in
Mm-hmm.
Spanish? And it did give it to me in Spanish. So it
It
does
did.
work on my end.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect. Yes, I'm telling you, something with my computer is not working with it very well. But
Oh,
yes,
okay.
I'm
There it
glad it
is.
worked on your
Yeah.
end. And so as you see, I typed it out and it gave it to me in Spanish. So which is fantastic, right? Because you know that that's something they're able to do. If you have students that come from, maybe you have a refugee and he speaks another language, you're also able to select more languages. If I'm not mistaken, you go to view all and it tells you all of the different translations it'll give it. So that's really neat. That's something that you're able to utilize in your classroom. And I like the fact that you're able to kind of restrict them from what they're able to see and do. It's better than just kind of going into Google and typing life cycle of a butterfly and all kinds of things pop up. This is more tailored to what the students are learning, and it gives you back the opportunity uh, to go back and see exactly what it is they're asking you for, or maybe even the way that they're answering questions. It could be a little bit more of an understanding for you where they need help or additional support. So I think that's fantastic. Now, Miss Elsa, I don't know if you want to try this, but can you ask for it to provide a picture for you? See if it works
Okay,
on
let me try.
your end, because I know it wasn't working on my end. So, ¿me podrías? Yeah, because it will show up on mine. I just can't see it for some reason. It might not. I don't know if it's just my computer or not, but it will. So this will essentially be the Sidekick. The students interact with it as much as they can and as much as they want to be able to do it. And then from there, once they are done, then you're able to, once they close it out, then you'll be able to see all of their different sessions. So this is Sidekick. I don't know if you have any questions on this particular tool for right now. I know we have hello, Miss Garzi. I know you're in here. And Miss Garcia, hello.
Hi there. Sorry. I was at Trejos also.
Trejos, yes, don't worry.
Mhm.
Hello, Miss
Miss
Garcia.
Jeanette,
So yes, did it work?
sorry. Yes, it did work, but it didn't give
Okay,
me
perfect.
pictures. It didn't give me the pictures. It
It
actually gave
didn't.
me emojis of the life cycle, like
Oh,
the
okay.
egg, the caterpillar, and
Oh,
the
okay.
butterfly.
Oh, okay. I mean, something is something, right? Because I know yesterday it was like a little broken file I looked on my end, but I don't know if it was emojis or if it was the actual picture. But I know that's something that's kind of good to look for. And so now I'm going to go back into the actual website. I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you exactly where you can see the sessions that I have and the encounters with my students. So this is the one that we just did. And so I saw that Miss Diana was able to log in and Miss Elsa as well. And so we're going to click on Miss Elsa's and I can see everything that she was able to interact with them. And then it'll kind of give me some type of like a kind of like a recap of what was going on, if she understood the concept. Um, Obviously, we were just here for just a tiny bit, right? But it'll tell you like, okay, there was minimal interaction with it. So maybe let's say you give them 30 minutes to explore, but they only ask 3 questions. So to them, it's, hey, that's minimal. They were in here for such amount of time, and only this was done. The student asks simple and surface level questions, which is also great, especially when you're having walkthroughs and stuff like that. Uh, the way that the students are asking questions and kind of going through it, you're able to see, okay, are my students actually going in depth with what we are learning? Or is it something that it's something that they really are looking forward to be able to learn about? So that's really, really great. Like I said, this is just one section. Now we're going to go to another tool. But does anyone have any questions? I know I have some new participants. At the end, I will send you a link to a presentation. That way, in case you were not able to join us in the beginning, you'll be able to watch the recording and see the presentations for more guidelines, okay? And so then from here, we're gonna go back and then we're gonna go to Spaces. So once you're in the Sidekick website, you're gonna go to Spaces and we're gonna go to Discover. And then I'll send this to you all again in the chat. So if you're just joining us, you're more than welcome to log in. You will join and you will sign in with your Google credentials from our district, and then you can kind of follow along with what we're doing. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the Video Explorer. So once we go into Discover, so again, you go to Spaces, and then you go to Discover. What you are going to do is you're going to select that Video Explorer. And on this one, you will need to open up YouTube because that's where you will be getting your videos from, okay? So let me add another one. And I'm going to open up YouTube. And then right now we're going to work on a video that's talking about density with bowling balls. And so like I had mentioned earlier, try to keep the video short. Don't keep the videos and select a video that's 20 minutes long because that's going to be way too long for your students. And it's not going to be able to allow you to say, oh, just range it from this section to this section. It's going to do it all together. So we're going to do the floating bowling balls. And so I really like this video. This is the video that I had included into our curriculum when I was going through it. But this video doesn't work. Not all the videos are going to work, especially if the creators have some sort of restriction. It might not show up on their end. So it's better to select something. So preview it before you assign it. Okay. Now this video will work. I'm going to select this video right here. I'm going to pause it.
If you want to do it the hard way, we can do it the hard way. So, all right.
Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy paste the URL. So I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go back to my space, and then I'm going to paste that URL right here. And I'm going to click launch. That's all you have to do. You don't have to set it up for anything else because it's going based off of the content that you provided from that URL. Okay. Excuse me. So I'm going to go to launch. Oh, sorry, you didn't paste it. There you go. And again, it's going to ask me, do you want to share a live link or do you want to assign it onto your Google Classroom? Because we're in a meeting form and I have you on Teams, I am going to select that live link. If it's something that you want to assign for your students for a later use, then you can just add it onto your Google Classrooms. So we're going to copy this over. I'm going to send it to you so you can kind of interact with it as well. And then I'm going to use it on my end as well so that you could see and compare what we are doing. Again, it's going to ask you for their name. Their names will pop up because when you go back to review their answers and their inputs, you will be able to see who is working on what. So we're going to click on join. Hello, Miss Villarreal. Hello, Adriana. Welcome, welcome. And so now, as you notice, you will see the same setup, that chat going on the left side, and then you will see the video pop up on the right side. If you notice, there's two blue dots. Those will be the stopping points for the video. Meaning, when the students begin to watch the video, this is already going on. It's already kind of got it started. It's already trying to interact with them. And then what it'll do is once they start playing the video, it's going to stop in those blue spots. And then it's going to ask them something else on the chat. Okay, so this will go based off of what they know or what they're currently looking at. And this will kind of keep them on track to make sure that they're actually listening to the video and not just kind of playing it and then looking off somewhere else. And so as you can see, again, it does give you the option to speak and it has the option, to listen. This is speak, I know it's kind of confusing. This is for the robot or the little AI buddy to speak. And the microphone here on the bottom is to input. Again, this is great for differentiation because your students that may not be reading at the level in which your content is in, it makes it easier for them to be able to interact with. And if maybe they have some sort of goal on their IP or accessibility where they need to be able to use speech to text, this is another option that they have. So remember, you go to your settings, you select the Spanish and the language in which you're learning. And so for example, here I will click speak and it will read exactly what it's doing.
Hey there! Ready to dive into a science adventure with floating bowling balls?
So before the video even starts, AI has already generated the whole video on their end, and it already knows all the content. So it's already going to start kind of going in depth of what it is. So the students can start working on it automatically. Now I'm going to play this for you. I'm just going to play it real quick. They can make the video a little bit bigger. And I'm just going to kind of fast forward it just so that you can see.
And according to the 0.7 inches, all have to be the same. And I didn't realize that. So the only difference is.
And so as you see, it stops because at this point they would have already watched that section of the video and it's already giving them different questions so that the students can start interacting with them. So obviously, once you assign this to them, you're going to tell them, hey, remember, I'm going to be looking at all your responses, at all your questions, at everything that's going on. That way, the students are more engaged and they're focused on what is actually asked for them to do during their presentation or during their assignment. So does anyone have any questions as of right now of how, or is it working on your end? Is it not working on your end? Are we okay? And if you have any questions and you're shy and you don't want to speak out, you can type it out in the chat. If not, go for it. Interrupt me. I love to talk. I really do. And so now that we had this interaction on there, I'm gonna go back to my Sidekick section. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna go back to my AI. I'm gonna go to Video Explorer. And as you can see, this was the session that I had. These are all the participants that were actually on there. So if you have 20 students and only 5 are actually showing up, this is where you get to say, hey, I know that you're not online. And you can show this on the screen in itself. It won't show anything unless you click on their name. So for example, if I click on it, then I can see exactly what she's typing. Obviously, you don't want to show that to your students, but at least you know and you can tell. So for example, I know that everybody got started, but nobody responded anything, which is fine, of course. But once they start to respond, you'll start to see that some of this darkens and there's some form of interaction going on. So again, you're able to do the assignment and then go back and review their responses. Alrighty. And then last thing that I'm going to show you, so we already went over Sidekick, we went over the Video Explorer, and now I'm going to show you the tools that they have. This is more for your use, not necessarily for your students. This is more for planning lessons, for IEP goals, newsletters, anything like that that you kind of want to go through your, or want to be able to have for your students. This is something that you have on there. The one that I thought was really, really neat was a story word problem. So sometimes if you are trying to do something different, maybe you want to do an activity or a game with them, but you don't want to kind of sit there and have to do the questions on your own, then you're able to have these word problems created for you already. So I was playing around with this yesterday, and so I came up with 3, right? And so this is all the same teak. It's all the same input, but it generates them differently. And so, for example, this was the first one that it generated for me. And so I had said, you know what, I want a story problem and I'm doing fractions. And I wanted to include something with lemonade, you know? And so it gave me 4 different problems. It gave me different hints and the solution. I didn't like this section very well. So I was like, okay, I want to go back and I want to have it generated again. And it's able to do that for you. I said, you know what, for the most part, they're okay. And what I do want you to understand is I don't want you to freak out because it will have your name, it'll have your campus as the reference points for these problems. But again, remember, it's using your school information. So don't freak out on me and think that it's going into your accounts and going through it. It's part of your credentials when you log in. So did you notice Berta Palacios Elementary? It's the school where I'm working at. So that in itself, it generated on there and it's using my name. So you can go through this, you can go back, you can change the names, you can say, after the party, Mateo has 2 gallons of lemonade left, so and so on and so forth. So you can copy paste that over. So now let's just say you said, oh, these are okay, but I want something different. You go back, and then it gave me this section right here, which I thought was so much better because I was like, oh, okay, now it's telling me, okay, so I'm gonna do 5th grade. That's what I was working on. And this is a standard that I had selected. And then these are my problems. It doesn't give me a response, but that's fine. I'm just needing the word problem for my activity. And so it already generates them for you. You're able to change them as you want. If you say, you know what, I don't like these numbers, let me change them, you're able to do that as well. And I just want to keep the content, you're able to do that. And so on and so forth. And you can generate them as many times as you want. And I'll show you in a second how we're going to go through that. You're going to go to prompt and then you regenerate. Okay. So now let me show you how to actually open them up. Okay. I'm going to go to generate. This is where you're going to start a new session. Let's say it's another week. You want to do another activity. You need different problems. Well, let's say this time I'm going to be working with 3rd grade. And let's say that I'm still gonna, let's say I'm doing what do you do for math? Multiplication. How many questions do I want? Well, you select a number of questions you want. If you want more, or if you want less, or so on and so forth, you're able to do that. And then the topic in itself. So if I'm doing multiplication, maybe I want to talk about the number of students multiplying in our campus. Or multiplication in a soccer team. Something to the form. Of course, you can do anything you want on any topic that you desire. And then this is where you select your standards. And so it gives you all of the standards from every state. Of course, we will look for Texas. We'll go down, select Texas. Select 3rd grade. The subject, well, I'm looking for math. And this will just kind of, sorry, I think there's one. This one, these are probably newer. And so then from there, you go down and you say, okay, well, I already know what I wanted. I wanted multiplication. And then it gives you all of the multiplication standards on the side. You select the ones that you want to cover. So let's say I want to cover these 3. And then you will see them all pop up, and then you will click generate. It will generate them for you. You're able to go back and you're able to utilize them. Now, I had gone to a conference one time and I thought it was so interesting the way she had explained it. So AI is a wonderful, it does all kinds of things for you, but don't rely on it 100%. So you, just because it's generating it for you does not mean that you're just going to copy paste without reading it before you send it to your students. Okay. So make sure that you're going through it, you're using it, and you tweak it to where it's best for your students. Because sometimes the language in itself might be too high for your kiddos, especially because most of us have bilingual students. And so maybe if it's talking about something very complex, they're not going to understand it because they don't have that vocabulary in them. So that's the only thing that I will say. Kind of keep that in mind. AI is great, but I can't rely on it 100%. Okay. It also needs your human touch to it so that it makes it more you and more tailored to your students. Okay. So now, if you notice, I selected various standards. These standards right here are given to me, and it tells me what problem goes with the standard. So I think that's fantastic because you're not having to run around and find different things, but you could see it if it's part of your observation and you need to have your standard up, you can have the problem that it has, and you put the standard that goes with it. Okay. And so, like I said, I had asked for 6 problems. It gave me the problems. It gave me 1 for standard 3.6C. It gave me 2 questions for 3.4E, and then 1 for 3.4J. And then it has mixed standards in there with 2 more problems in there. Okay. Now from here, you will paste it wherever you want. I don't recommend that you print it this way. This is very confusing for the students, but you're able to now copy paste it onto maybe a Word document. And then you're able to assign that to your students. If you're going to maybe use them for an activity, you print them out in a section. Let's say they're doing a gallery wall, you put them around your room, and that's something else that you have. But does anyone have any questions on this or any ideas of maybe how you can use it?
Yeah, I have a quick question on it, ma'am.
Yes.
2 questions. Is it only do open-ended question types? Or those type of question types or does it have to do different question types? And then
That's a
secondly,
good question. Yes, go. Go ahead.
secondly, if you do hit that export button on the top right, what does it export to?
It gives you the option to do PDF, a Google Doc, or Google Classroom. So those would be like I said, this in itself is great, right? Maybe if you want to turn it in for maybe your administration and they're going to come in and do an observation on you and they're kind of trying to see what problems are coming from, then I would do a PDF. But I don't recommend it that you just print it out and give it to your students and download it in that way, just because the students are going to say that there's a lot going on, unless of course you have taught them how to dissect each standard and they know the background into it. But of course, if you have a kindergartner or if you have a first grader, I don't recommend that you do that. And now for your first question, that's a really good question. So here, let me see. I don't see the section where it has the I think it only does open-ended, but if you go back, you will see that it has multiple choice quizzes. So maybe we can open up that multiple choice quiz, maybe hit generate. And then this is something where, for example, here, let's say I'm doing third grade multiplication, problem solving. Let's say you want to do, I don't know, 5 problems. Again, this is great because it provides the standards for you. It already had those standards that I did. I couldn't remember the ones that I picked before, but let's say it was these 3. I click generate, and then this one should give me the multiple choice responses, Mr. Rodriguez. So if you notice here, now it's giving me, but you see these are a lot more simple. But maybe you could do it to where now that you have the core section on there, or of course it's because of the type of standard that I selected. But once you go through them, then you'll be able to see or select which one you feel is best. Like this one, it's a problem, and it has like some sort of word problems attached to it. So of course, maybe you want it more complex or some sort. Again, you can regenerate them if you don't like that. I'm going to regenerate them. And the great thing is it won't close out the other one. It will keep it attached to that. So you see it opened up a second file, and now it's giving me more questions. Okay. But thank you for your question. That was a really good question. Does anyone have any other question or any ideas of how to use it?
Sorry, one more question, because this is a question that teachers on my campus ask me quite often. Does it
Yes,
save
of
a
course.
bank of all of your generations?
Yes. So for example, I'm going to go back. And so if you notice, for example, when we did the story word problems, it says that I have 4 documents. And then when I go to multiple choice, it says I have 2 documents. So when you select it, you're going to see the list of all of the ones that you selected, and it'll give you the date so that they don't get confused. Just in case they forgot to change the title to it, then they can go based off of the date. So then, for example, I generated these last night. I'm able to see that it was like at 10 at night yesterday. And so I'm able to open it back up and go back and reuse them. Because let's say that at the end you have maybe you have a review and you kind of wanted to use something that you've already done, or maybe you missed it and you didn't use that particular question in your reviews, then you're able to kind of go through it and then you're able to copy them over and use them again. Yeah. But yeah, these are great questions. Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. Anybody else? Or anything you can think of, or like you said, sometimes maybe you hear things on campus, maybe that other teachers are questioning or they have a question on or kind of want to focus on. This would be a great time for you all to utilize it. We're good. Like I said, it's not just those 2 different sections. Yes, go for it.
I'll give you one more question, just
Yes.
so because this is a question that I get a lot often whenever I present on AI. So my campus has a lot of emerging bilinguals. So
Okay.
I know you've covered a few things. I've been in a few meetings. But specific to text, do you have anything, or does this program have anything that helps with like Lexile decreasers or increasers, or anything of the nature that might assist an emerging bilingual?
Look, if you see the text leveler, I haven't used it, but we can explore it together. And so then this one, so for example, let's say, I want to say this is the way this works. I don't have a file with me, but for example, if you have, let me see. Okay, let's go on mine. And then let's select the PDF version to little red writing hood. Let's see what comes up. I just want to. Okay, so let's see. Let me see. I want to see if I open it up and if I'm able to. Or here, look. Let's go to Scholastic. If this one doesn't work, then one that I know will for sure work is if you put the text in Canva, you put it under document, it will do or it would allow you to generate. So you will say, regenerate this text in a first grade level or first grade reading level. So that might be something that works, but let me see, because I want to say that the leveler is this one. So I'm gonna copy this over. Again, this is just something I found online. I'm gonna go here. So I inputted it, third grade, generate. So this is the way it comes out for a third grader, right? Now let's go back. I'm gonna copy it again, but this time let's put it for a first grader. And then we'll open both up to see if it changes the way that it read it. Okay, so let's go back. Again, once you select that tool and you utilize it, it'll have the number of documents that you have. You click on those 2 documents and then you're able to open them up. So I'm going to close this right here. I just want to see if it did simplify it or not. Hold on. They're going to let me open. Okay. Hold on. Let me go back to. Let me open them side by side. Okay, so this was the first grade version. Let me see. Ignore what I'm doing right now just because I'm trying to put them side by side, but it won't let me use as a open in a separate screen. Okay. I just want to see if it did generate it at a lower level. And if you ever just want to talk technology or tips or we learn from each other, y'all send me a message and I'll be more than happy to explore with you, which is basically how we all learn from each other. Or if you and if your team has a question again, and if you want to work on something or you're trying to think of an idea, then you're also able to do that. I'm going to say I selected third grade first. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong one. It was this one. Looks okay. So if you notice I mean, it's very minimal on this one, but if you notice, like they ran through the green door. No. Yes. So right here, they ran through the green door with their magic medicine. They ran through the green door with their magic medicine and made the wolf fall asleep. So one of them is more descriptive than the other. Inside his tummy, they found grandma safe and well. I guess, I don't know if this will answer your question, Mr. Rodriguez, but it will adjust it. The only thing is you're not able to select a Lexile level. It'll just be based off of their grade level. I don't know if that'll make it a difference depending on, of course, it also depends on the text that you're selecting. Maybe because the one I picked was very basic, it's kind of hard to kind of go based off of that. But maybe if it's a lot lower, then or let's say they're in 5th grade and it goes a lot lower, then maybe that'll adjust it.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. I explore a lot of AI stuff, and a lot of the times, you do have to go from different AI platform to different AI platform to get a better version of something specific.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of teachers, especially people that might be here in this presentation, like to have a all-in-one type of thing. And so far, this does a great job of catching kids' attention through that interaction with each other in terms of the AI and the student, plus all these generations for the teacher. So far, this tool has been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and like I said, you kind of have to kind of play around with them a little bit more, and the more that you play around with them and the more you kind of seek out different tools, then it's easier for you all to be able to adjust that to your end. So I know we're getting close to the end of our presentation, but does anyone have any questions or you need anything or anything of this sort? Are we all good? Alrighty. Well, like I said, my name is Jeanette Mihadis. I am from Palacios Elementary. I know Mr. Rodriguez already put the evaluation on the chat. If you could just kind of go in there and evaluate the session for today, or the bits that you got to see if you didn't get to see all of it. Just leave a comment there. Like I said, I am going to send you this presentation in just a bit. This is my email. My email will be on the very last slide if you have a question or if you have any ideas or if you figured something out that we didn't go over this time around. Make sure to send me a message. You can send me a Teams or an email. I prefer Teams. It's easier for me to contact back. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the session. Hopefully we get to or you get to use it with your students and that they like it just as much. Again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your attendance. Have a great day. I know there's still a few more sessions going on, so make sure you stick around for that. Thank you, Ms. Villarreal. Thank you for stopping by. Like I said, if you need anything, don't hesitate to let me know, and then let me send you the link to this, to the